Hi, welcome to my YouTube video. This is the first ever YouTube video I'm filming for my channel, and I thought today we would do a little knit and chat. I chose to do a knit and chat as my first video because it feels so uncomfortable to be in front of a camera, and I'm hoping that having a little bit of knitting to do will help me to not feel so awkward talking to the camera. For this video, I wanted to kind of do just a little bit of a knit and chat, tell you a little bit about myself, introduce myself to the channel. I'm working on my Marseille sweater by Petite Knit in this yarn is Drops Cotton Merino. I'm using like a navy blue and then like a seafoam kind of color. And just a little bit about myself. My name is Megan. I am 26 years old. I live in Utah. I am a civil engineer and I first got into crochet. So I graduated from college right kind of at the beginning, not right at the beginning of the pandemic, but I graduated in December of 2020. So the pandemic was still raging. I graduated college and suddenly I had all of this free time. I wasn't doing homework anymore, and it actually took me a minute to find a full-time job, so I was still working. I had a couple months right after I graduated where I was still working an internship. I could only work like 30 hours a week. And so I just had all of this free time. And after a couple weeks of just rotting and just sitting around because I needed the break and was kind of burnt out from school, I kind of started to realize I was so bored. I had no hobbies at all. I think it was literally just like a YouTube video showed up of somebody crocheting on my like discover page, and I was kind of familiar. I sort of learned how to crochet like once or twice at like church activities, or like I tried to learn from my grandma once or twice and never really got the hang of it. And as in like adult person, I was like, I bet I could do that. So I started crocheting and I loved it. I crocheted a ton. And then I didn't start knitting until probably like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And it was funny because I think I was crocheting so much. And I was kind of like, I don't need to learn how to knit. There's kind of that like rivalry almost sometimes. And what inspired me to start knitting was I saw somebody make the halibut sweater by Caitlin Hunter. And I think it might have been Lou Knits, but I don't know if the timing works out on that one. But I saw somebody who had made the halibut sweater, just like came up on my social media, and I was like, I want that to be me so bad. I am going to die if I don't have this sweater. And not like so much that I had to learn how to knit to make the sweater. And I actually still have not made the sweater. I want to. I think I actually, since then, she has released the cardigan version, and I think I even like that version better. So that's a dream knit for me for sure. And then I just kind of fell in love with knitting too. I started out I made a lot of baby sweaters at first. I have a son that is a year and a half old, and so I started making kind of little sweaters for him, which I love. I think if you are newer to knitting or you like are trying to recommend to somebody who's just starting to knit, I think baby sweaters and like baby items in general are some of the best things because you can get more familiar with it's a chance to get familiar with the construction and kind of the techniques and stuff of making a sweater without having to commit to something that's going to take you 80 hours and $100 worth of yarn, and then maybe you don't even like the sweater. That a baby sweater is so much less investment of time and money usually. But it can kind of help you figure out like, oh, I know how to do knit a raglan. I know how to do increases and decreases and that kind of thing. And baby sweaters too are, I think, a little bit more, you can get away with a few more mistakes. Like, if a baby sweater turns out a little bit more homemade looking or, like, has some it's kinda rustic, um, I think that's still cute. Like, it's if your sweater turns out a little bit ugly, I think for me, at least, I feel like I have more leeway for that of, like, "It's a baby, though, it's so cute," than, like, for me to try to wear it. I don't know. Anyway, that's recommend the baby knits, and that's kind of how I got into knitting and crochet. Um, and then I did say I sew just a little bit. And that's just kind of a lifelong thing. Like, I would sew a little bit with my mom, but wouldn't say I actually really have any sewing skills. I've been kind of getting back into it. I have been watching a lot of YouTube videos from a creator named, I think her name is Sydney Graham, and she has just kind of really approachable, fun little videos. I love it. Um, I think this weekend I want to go get some fabric and make a skirt from like she posted a little tutorial about a simple skirt and it kind of inspired me where I was like, I can do that. So time to pull out my little sewing machine and do that. And then starting the YouTube channel, I think it's funny because I think it feels so embarrassing. I don't know if anybody else can relate to that like I would never judge anyone else. And I'm so looking for new, like, knitting and crochet, like, crafty YouTubers all the time. Like, I'm dying to find new people, and it's funny that it's so scary to sit down and film and, like, to post it, I'm sure is gonna be a whole 'nother thing, but I've kind of been inspired because I started posting more on Instagram. I've been running kind of a little Etsy shop, and I do markets every once in a while for my crochet stuff. Just really for something to do. And so I've been posting on Instagram more for that. And I kind of had that same hurdle where I know that for growth and stuff, it's supposed to be the best to get engagement on Instagram to post reels and the little videos. And it was like, that feels so crazy. And I finally pushed myself to do it. And it's so normal. It doesn't matter. Um, it's becoming more comfortable. And so that's been kind of a push for me. I feel like I've always had YouTube like in the back of my head of like, "Oh, that would be fun to do that," but it was always too scary, and kind of getting out there on Instagram has inspired me, and I think it'll be fun. So and I am a yapper, I love to yap, I love to talk all day long, so I thought, "Why not yap to people on YouTube?" My husband is so sweet, and he does try his best to listen to me, but there's only so much you can listen to somebody talk about a hobby that you are not involved in at all. So I thought it would be fun. I was also really inspired by, oh, what's her name? Natasha Crawford, I want to say her name is. She is Irish. Maybe it's Scottish. She's from somewhere in the UK, maybe. She's like really new to knitting. Like she's kind of posting the beginning of her knitting journey. And that was kind of inspiring to be like, that I can post about my little knitting journey and not be like the most expert of all time. Another person who's like that is Study Knits. I've been watching. I really like her videos. She's a medical student and she kind of describes herself as like she has the skills but maybe not the technical knowledge. And I love she always at the beginning of all of her videos, she'll give a little blurb of like something new that she learned about knitting and I think that's really fun. And then yeah, I have my little list of things to talk about down here that I'm referencing. Completely pivoting from the knitting topics. It is the Halloween season. It finally started getting cold here in the last like couple days even, but my husband and I have a little bit of a tradition where we try to watch a movie every single day in October, and it has to be like a Halloween kind of movie. And that is so fun. I've really enjoyed it. And we watch horror movies and sci-fi movies and all kinds of movies. I will say 2 of them that I'm definitely a movie rewatcher and my husband is not. So the ones that I'm kind of rooting for this year to get watched, even though it we watch them like every year and he's tired of it, is I would recommend if you are looking for a spooky movie, Practical Magic is the rare rom-com kind of movie. Has Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock in it, and they're witches and they're sisters, and there's a little bit of a love story, and it rocks. You should watch that one. It's very like, they live in Massachusetts or wherever, East Coast vibes. It's very cute. And then the other one I would recommend is Pride and Prejudice and Zombies because I love any and all adaptations of a Pride and Prejudice. And also it's just fun. Sometimes you need it to be a little silly. Like, is it a little bit dumb? Yes, but that's kind of the point. That's kind of why I like it. We have kind of a running gag that I love a movie that's high concept, low execution, which, and not that that's not like low, not as necessarily in bad, but like it's not Alien, it's not 2001: A Space Odyssey type of movie. Anyway, I love it. You should watch Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I thought I was gonna be able to just like yap and yap forever, and it's been like 12 minutes. I guess I'll kind of loop back around. We can talk about my Etsy shop a little bit. I started doing okay, also I talk about it like my Etsy shop, I've had like 3 sales. And then I do some markets and I do pretty well at the markets. It felt like I was in college forever. And maybe it's just kind of the brain rot of like I was in school for too long and then now I crave that like cycle of preparing for something, like kind of the finals week, like you do a big semester and then you have a big like event, right? You have finals week and you're crushing it and then you get to relax after that. I think especially being like a young professional who doesn't, I'm not doing summer vacation or anything anymore. And I have just the one son and he is only a year and a half old. So he doesn't really have activities going on anymore. And it feels like we have nothing to delineate the time in our lives. Like it's just work forever. And so I thought that the markets, and they do kind of fill this niche for me of like, it's something to work towards, and then you have a big event, and then, you go out to eat afterwards and relax for a week. And I have really enjoyed that. It can be a little bit stressful sometimes, but I really just do it for fun. Like yeah, you would maybe consider it a side hustle, but I really enjoy it. Like I said, it's mostly you're kind of sharing it with others. It's a fun thing to do. Um, it is interesting to get a little bit more of a relationship with how long stuff takes to make. Because I think there's a lot of stuff that I think of as like, oh, that's so easy. That would be a great thing to work for this market. And then I make it. And it's like, okay, that took 4 hours and it will have to be like $60. And I mean, sometimes people buy stuff like that, but it depends on kind of the item. It's kind of interesting. Miss, I'm just starting the ribbing and I got it. Like, I got back to the beginning and I needed to like just do like one decrease so that the knits and purls lined up and I didn't notice. um anyway, I love it. I love watching everybody on YouTube. I've started to going to book club with some of the young kind of mom ladies that I go to church with, and it is so fun. Have not I I think kind of the story that everybody has. I was a big reader when I was young, when I was like young and a teenager, and then I went probably an embarrassing long amount of time where I just literally had not read a novel. I had not read anything that wasn't an engineering textbook for like probably like 5 or 6 years. And it's been really fun to kind of get back into it. I even bought myself a Kindle. It was one of those things where I was thinking about it, but I didn't wanna buy it and then not use it and have it be just kind of, I've done that before. And it's been really fun. I've been really enjoying it. For book club this month, we're reading Harry Potter, which is very fun. It's totally something I wouldn't have thought of to, like, go back and read the Harry Potter books, but, like, what a cozy, fun little, like, book to read for October, so that's another recommendation. If you haven't read the Harry Potter books in a while or at all, read the first one because it's cozy and sweet and cute. And I think there's something just really fun about it. We also really love, as I've mentioned a couple times, I have a 1.5-year-old toddler, little boy, and we love going to the library. It's one of the only things you can do to get out of the house and not spend money. And like to not have pressure to buy stuff. We live in an apartment too, and it's like maybe I don't want to acquire 5 new items every time I leave the house. It's kind of fun that you can go to the library and you get kind of that dopamine kick of like shopping almost, like obtaining a new item. And but then you take it back. It doesn't have to live in your house forever. I really enjoy that. And it's also just they have like a nice little kid area at our local library. And sometimes there's other kids and moms to socialize with. So if you haven't been to your local library in a while, go to the library. I also think that's gonna be something that totally saves us during the cold winter months. Last winter, my son was still like a teeny tiny little baby, so he didn't really do anything, and it was not a big deal for it to be winter, besides the fact that as the adults, we were going kind of crazy when it was cold and dark outside and we just sat inside with our baby all day. But this winter, I mean, we're gonna try to play outside a lot. I think we're just gonna have to invest in the whole family getting nice warm coats and good cozy boots or whatever when it's snowy, but I'm really not looking forward to just having a crazy toddler that feels like he's cooped up in the house all day. So the library is such a perfect place that like it's indoors. Like I said, it's free. You don't have to go in and spend a whole bunch of money, but it kind of like it takes up a piece of your day. It's a good activity to do. So that's awesome. We haven't really been to any of the scheduled activities, but I think that would be fun too. Most libraries have them. I know our library does like a couple of like baby lap time, story time things, and they have like kid book clubs. So support your local library. I love it there. That's kind of all of the topics I had. This video is probably going to be relatively short. I'm hoping it's a good length. We'll see what happens how it edits down or if it looked good at all. Anyways, have fun and happy knitting.